After an inglorious end to the Philadelphia Eagles 2023 campaign, Nick Sirianni returned. It seems like that's the only thing that stayed the same so far this offseason. Major changes, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and now Haason Reddick apparently wants out of Philadelphia. Louie DiBiase from Locked On Eagles joins me now. And Louie, this has been an offseason of tumult. It was tumultuous before everyone's season finished, before the Super Bowl even got done. So what is happening in Philly right now?
Yeah, so specifically with Haason Reddick, the man wants to be paid. He has 30 sacks if you include the playoffs the last 2 years, and he wants his bag. He's going to be 30 years old soon, and he wants that last big payday. For the Philadelphia Eagles, they're saying, we'll put you on the trade block, go out there and see if the market dictates that value. If you can go get that and we can get proper compensation, we'll trade you. If not, it seems like Howie Roseman has a set line of what he's willing to pay Haason Reddick, and he's not willing to budge, probably because he's got to pay Devontae Smith. He's got to pay Josh Sweat, Landon Dickerson. There's a lot of contracts to give out. But if you would have told me a month ago their best defensive player would suddenly be on the trade block in a few weeks, I guess I wouldn't be surprised, because that's what happens with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a roller coaster, but I would have been shocked. I mean, this is, to me, the heartbeat of that defense, and you don't want to lose elite sack-producing edge rushers.
And so what do you think is the most likely outcome here?
For me, I think Haason Reddick, a trade is likely, because although he's going to be 30 years old, another team's going to say, we can get a 3-4 year deal out of this guy still. I mean, he's showing no signs of, slowing down. So the sack production is still there. I think he probably goes for maybe a couple day 2 picks or a day 2 selection in a player. I think they have a lot of money they have to give out to other players, and they have a lot of draft capital. So unfortunately, I don't agree with it, but I think the likely outcome is that he probably is traded this summer.
Yeah, and part of this was foreseen, right? Not the trade part of it, but that's what you go out and get Nolan Smith for, someone like that, very similar body types, all those kinds of things. I mentioned at the top, the change at coordinator. Vic Fangio is going to be the big name coming in here, but you also make a change at offensive coordinator. So the changes that are being made here, is this a sharpening of a team ready to go compete for a Super Bowl, or something closer to the desperate acts of a team trying to figure this out on the fly?
I think it's kind of a cop-out, but a little bit of both. I think it's a sharpening of a team that was supposed to be a contender. My issue, I like the Kellen Moore hiring in a vacuum. Same with Vic Fangio. My concern is I feel like their results, or the way they want to solve the problem this year, is by taking more and more responsibility away from their head coach. And that's concerning to me, because if you don't have that much confidence in your head coach, why didn't you just move on this offseason?
Yeah, why is he your head coach?
And that's my issue, is if Kellen Moore is going to run this entire offense and Vic Fangio is going to be the head coach of the defense, then what exactly is Nick Sirianni doing here? And that's my problem. I want my head coach to run the offense and be the play caller, and now he's not even really going to be the head game planner, which he was last year. So I like, again, both hirings in a vacuum, but to me, it just feels like they're trying to stay in the middle. They didn't want to completely hit the reset button, but they also didn't want to give Sirianni the keys to the car anymore.
And part of that is this roster, they believe, is ready to compete right now. Most of us in the media believed they were ready to compete right now. I mean, a lot of people picked them to repeat in the NFC as the NFC winner. As you look at their offseason shopping list, to-do list, because they've got some of their own guys that they got to make decisions on, what are the biggest decisions you feel like they still need to make now that they've gotten some of this coaching stuff organized? Yeah,
look, I still think the roster on paper has a lot of talent on both sides, where they're still going to be a top 3 team, maybe top 5 in the NFC. But when you look at some of the major problems on the roster, it's the second and third level of the defense: linebacker, cornerback, safety. They need a lot of help there, both short-term and long-term. The strength of this team has been the trenches, but if you're going to lose Jason Kelce and Haason Reddick, and you have to use their draft picks to replace those guys, I'm concerned that Howie Roseman, yet again, is going to try to Band-Aid his way through those very important spots. We'll see if that is the case, but to me, I'm very hyper-focused right now on who's the cornerbacks, safeties, and linebackers, because that's where teams like the 49ers and the Cowboys completely exposed you in 2023.
Stay up to date all year on the Philadelphia Eagles by subscribing to Locked On Sports today and Locked On Eagles on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube.